Good morning. How are you doing? This is Amanda. So, I am going to be doing some work with Mary Magdalene today and Mother Mary. And there's a reason why I'm wearing this headscarf, which I'll explain in a moment. Although it is also helping me just to get into the vibration of the two Marys. And I'll explain why in a moment. I actually feel as though we might look back on this particular video as the first in a big body of work that probably is going to be coming in 2021, linked into the divine feminine energy and the teachings of Mary Magdalene, but Mother Mary is very present as well, the two Marys, let's just say. So before I start on the teaching, could I please just ask you to like the video? And I don't ever ask you to do that. But if you get to the end of this video and you haven't liked it, you can always unlike it. But when you do like a video, it helps other people to see it. It's just the way that YouTube works. It gets shown to more people. And I'm being told that there is a lot of people that need to see this message. It's really a message for the whole world. And although we're going to be talking about sacred divine feminine energies, men really need to be hearing this as well. So I have to say that Mary Magdalene, whenever I work with her at a deep level, she always gives me a physical symptom within my body that she's present. Now, I don't think that has to be the way it is, and it doesn't mean that it's always going to be the way that it is, but maybe I'm just a little bit slow to the table sometimes, so she has to really shout to get my attention sometimes, because I work with quite masculine energies such as Metatron and a few of the other archangels such as Michael, Uriel. They're quite masculine energies. So for her to make her voice heard through all of that, it's as though she has to give me something that makes me stop in my tracks and make me think, what is this? So I have before talked about bleeding with Mary Magdalene. Well, I haven't got that today, but what I did wake up with this morning, following on from a video that I did yesterday on Instagram, where I just posed the question, which seemed quite trivial on the surface, but really isn't. And it's actually opened a doorway for this work today. I talked about hair and the fact that in the UK, hairdressers are going to be shut probably for 5 months. And a lot of women in particular like to tend their hair. Their hair is their crowning glory. We've heard of that expression before, haven't we? And I just posed the question, is this an attack on our femininity? And it's raised a great big debate. Thank you very much for all the people that joined in with that. But what it's done is it then opened up a wider door, not necessarily linked into hair, of course, but linked into the whole subject of, is the divine feminine under attack? And we're in times in our world whereby the divine feminine has to rise as an energy. The old patriarchal energy is leaving, but leaving without much grace. So wake up this morning and I have, for the first time in decades, I've got cystitis. Now, don't worry, it's fine. I'll just drink lots of water and it will go. I'm not worried about it. I know that it's linked into this message that needs to be brought through today. Because interestingly, as a younger child, a young girl, I had cystitis all the time. I actually had to go and see specialists. Okay, I need to share something with you. I actually had a procedure when I was about 7 or 8 where they put a camera into the urethra. And it was extraordinarily painful because I was in pain to start with, because they couldn't understand why I kept getting these urinary infections. And I remember lying on the table. Inside I was screaming with agony, and it felt such an invasion of such a private place within my body. And This was in the 1970s, so there wasn't much TLC. And it had implications. I have to tell you this stuff because it's all linked. It had implications decades later in terms of being able to be open and intimate. And because it was almost like that first encounter in that area was intrusive and it hurt, and it was by a man in a white coat with a sterile instrument, etc. So you can just imagine, you can fill in the rest. So I've healed that now, but to wake up this morning with a urinary infection, I thought, wow, okay, this is linked into what I said last night about the divine feminine being under attack. Because if you look up the spiritual meaning of urinary infections, and cystitis, it's usually to do with being pissed off. It literally is. It's where it's pissed off. I'm pissed off. So it's like the divine feminine energy. I'm pissed off with something. I then realised that last night I went to bed and it was beautiful. I had my balcony door open. I live about 10-minute walk from the sea. You can't hear the sea from my house, but last night you could. Last night the conditions were such that only happen very rarely. The wind was in a particular direction. It was still. I could just hear the waves. They were just coming in and they were coming in and they were crashing onto the rocks. It was so beautiful. And I'm telling you that because for me, Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary very much link into the ocean and the sea. Whenever I've ever encountered Mary, if you've been to any of my workshops where I've done Mary Magdalene workshops, I always introduce Mary Magdalene as standing in front of the Sea of Galilee. And that's how I envisage her. The shells are, for me, signs linked into Mary Magdalene. I've put up these two pictures today for you to see. And one of them has this shell. So these are signs for me that Mary is around. I also redid my room yesterday, cleaned it. And this is all linked, you see. I'm just trying to help you understand how strong this energy is. And before we get to the message, I've got a picture on my wall over there of Marilyn Monroe. And it's been there for ages. I haven't channeled Marilyn Monroe yet. But yesterday I looked at it and I thought, I don't want that on my wall. And I took it down. And it was just like an empty space. I didn't have anything else to put up in its space. And this morning I came into my room and I thought, why have you taken her down? Without getting into the ins and the whys and the wherefores of her life, she embodies for many people a goddess-like energy, okay? A goddess-like energy. So this is all leading me to sit here in front of you and to deliver the message that needs to be delivered today about where we are with regards to the divine feminine energy in our world, which is so crucially linked into the ascension of our planet and needs to come through strongly and win the day, and she will. But we have to realise what we are needing to clear for that to happen. So let's just propose that the divine feminine energy is under attack. What is lying underneath that? What is the old story or the old pattern that is trying to prevent whether you want to call it divine feminine, whether you want to call it goddess energy, coming in to rebirth our world? So sitting down today, I've pulled a couple of cards and they just tell the whole story. They just tell the whole story. So I'm going to channel as well today, but I'm just going to show you the cards first. I'm using the Magdalene Oracle by Toni, Carmine, Salerno and the Lantern Oracle. Put the details below. So the first card that comes out today is this one, Mary Magdalene, Teacher Awakens. Okay, the Teacher Awakens. My hand is shaking. Can you see that? My hand is actually shaking. That's how important this message feels. And then the card that came out next to it was Confusion. Now, if you look at this card, Confusion, I didn't realise I put this scarf on can you see that the colours of the scarf completely match the colours on this card? The blues, the rubies, and the whites. And I thought, wow, okay, confusion. So what goes with confusion? What goes with confusion is false beliefs around the female. And we also have the weeping wound. The weeping wound. Quite graphic cards there from the Lantern Oracle. Okay, so I'll just let you see those for a moment. So remember, these tie in with confusion. The weeping wound, that literally is like the divine feminine energy having been stabbed through the heart, which I think we have to have the strength to be able to look at and to be able to realise that this is what's happened through centuries. It's what is still happening in many parts of the world and in many cultures, that the feminine energy has been suppressed and has been downtrodden and has been denied. And what more iconic example of that can you get than the Mary Magdalene energy, who was Christ's divine partner, who was portrayed as a harlot and a whore, who was portrayed as having 7 demons within her that had to be cast out before she was even, well, that's the main story in the Bible. Now, the story of Mary Magdalene being the whore was devised by the early Christian church. The story then got revoked by one of the popes, can't remember who it was, centuries later. Maybe they had a slight change of conscience. But the truth is that Mary Magdalene has been portrayed horrifically through the years, and was never what was said. She was the divine counterpart of Christ. And but in this beautiful card, and it is beautiful because it actually says you are not your wounds. So one, it's time for us to bring in the energy of forgiveness to the male patriarchy of the day, and which still exists now, that have tried to deny the feminine energy, which tried to portray Mary in the way that they did. And why did they do that? They did that because they were scared and threatened by her power. For women to have a, for want of a better word, role model in their midst, a legendary figure in their midst, who was as powerful as many of the other male ascended teachers, would have destroyed much of the doctrine that was being fed. So we have to forgive. And it is interesting because, you know, Christ is said to have been crucified on the cross. And we're not going to get into that story now in terms of, you know, whether we believe that to be true or not, in terms of whether he died. Well, I've said it now. I personally believe he didn't die. I believe that he was taken down from the cross half dead and was nursed back to life by the likes of Mary, and they lived a life beyond that. Now, you don't have to agree with that. You don't have to agree with that. Whatever I'm about to say in this video is still pertinent, whether you believe in that or not. But the point I was trying to make is that we know the story is that Christ was speared through the wrists and through the feet. But look where Mary is speared. She's speared right through the heart, right through the heart. And yet this weeping wound, which is still in our world, and it is card number 8, the infinity sign, okay, linking the masculine and the feminine. And I am going to be doing some work on ancestral healing for us all soon, but I've mentioned the number 8, the infinity sign, and the centre of the number 8 being where we are right now, you and me, that's where we are. And the past and the present are in the number 8, the past at the top, and the future, the past in the first loop, the future in the bottom loop, you're at the present day. It's now that we're meant to heal this weeping wound and to try and find it in our heart to forgive what has been going on for centuries, which is the suppression of the female. In addition to that, we also have this card which is linked into false beliefs. Now, this is tied into the whole thing about women can only either be an angel or a whore, okay? And again, linking back into particularly church teaching on the subject, if you look at the two Marys, Mother Mary is always portrayed as the Virgin, pure, chaste, holy. And then we have Mary Magdalene, as I say, as the antithesis of this, the whore. So we've grown up with these stories through many of our lifetimes, which is that you're one or you're the other. And it's led many women to carry this unhealed and unintegrated aspect of themselves, which is that you are one or the other. And it's time for us to be able to integrate all aspects of our femininity so that we can be both holy and also sexual. Okay, so and by sexual, I'm talking about sacred sexuality. Okay, sacred sexuality, but also and holiness. The whole thing about sacred sexuality is it is holy anyway. But it's about these labels that have been given to women through the ages. And what I'm hearing now is because these labels are so strong, some women over-identify with them. And when they arrive down on the earth plane, it's almost as though, without knowing it, subconsciously, they can play the part of either extreme camp. And, you know, because I'm also being shown, and I know I've had a nun's lifetime. Many women have had lifetimes as a nun. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's a path that you wish to go down, there is amazing teaching in that. It's a journey. I don't regret my lifetime as a nun. But equally, here in 2021, do I want to carry the lifetime of the energy of nunhood, which is the exclusion, for example, of earthly pleasures? But I'm not just talking sexual pleasures. I'm also talking about earthly pleasures in the wider sense of the word. So it could be to do with, you know, taste, something that is nice to taste, whether it be wine, whether it be food, whether it be song, whether it be fine clothing, whatever. Again, balance, not done to excess, but earthly pleasures. We're back to Eden. We're back to the energy of Eden, and you can't pick the fruit from the tree. Because if you pick the fruit from the tree, you're damned and you get sent out of Eden. And what we're being invited back into with this uprising of the divine feminine energy is she is the one that's welcoming us back into Eden. And it's as though she's brave enough to break open the gates that have been locked. And it's not God that locked them from us. It is this patriarchal energy which has kept us out. And when I say us, I'm including everybody. I'm including the masculine and the feminine, the whole of humanity. Equally, what we don't want to do is get into a blame game and a judgment game in terms of what the patriarchal energy has done. It's time to lay these weeping wounds for them to be exposed, but to heal them, and to heal them is to bring in the energy of forgiveness. Ultimately, as a species, humankind signs up for many collective lessons, and this has been one lesson, it's been one experience that we as a humanity wish to go through. What you also have to remember is that however you identify in this lifetime in terms of male or female, you have had lifetimes whereby you have been both. I actually have more lifetimes as a man than a woman. I know that. So now in this lifetime, learning how to be female, some aspects of it are still a little bit like, whoa, okay, that's more difficult, and I would include motherhood in that. Okay, aspects of mothering that I find quite difficult, or not difficult, don't come as naturally to me as maybe I perceive they do in others. But I'm not judging myself for that, because we're all a work in progress. So we've all been male and female. So remember, if you want to get into judgment of the patriarchy and what they've done to women, remember that what you're doing is you're actually judging yourself, because you will have been one of those men that have suppressed women. You will have been one of those men that violated women. You will have been one of those men that persecuted and hunted down women. Okay? You will also have been the woman who was hunted. You will have been the woman who was persecuted. So it's time for us to have the spiritual maturity to be able to see it from a higher perspective, and to end this confusion energy whereby and the false beliefs, and to bring in the next two cards are what we're bringing in. We're bringing in transformation, and we're bringing in acceptance. But firstly, we've got to heal the wound, and secondly, we've got to forgive, and thirdly, we've got to get away from this energy of false beliefs around what is the divine, what is it to be female, what is it to be female. It's quite interesting with the scarf, because the thing with the scarf, just weaving in another energy now, which I feel is completely appropriate. Somebody gifted me, one of you gifted me, thank you, a beautiful temple statue of Lord Ganesh. And he's been in my home for only a couple of weeks, and we know that Lord Ganesh is the remover of obstacles. And one of the things you do if you have a beautiful temple statue of Ganesh is that you offer something to him every day. A little bit of water, some incense, a candle, a little bit of food, whatever. You know, I'm a great respecter of other religions and beliefs, and if something comes into my home that means a great deal to millions of other people around the world, I will observe that and respect that and treat it as a holy object in my home. And one of the things that I was taught to do, I want to say taught to do by the person who gave it to me, is she said it's nice if you can just cover your head either energetically or physically in the form of a scarf when you go to the statue and just observe the rituals. Rituals are important in life. And as the first time I put the scarf on, I've got a few, I really felt the holiness of it. And the sacredness of it, the sacredness of ritual. And it got me thinking. And then today, because I'm doing this video on the two Marys, I just looked into quickly the history of the two Marys and why traditionally, if you look at art and culture, Mother Mary is always depicted as having, the scarf, it's usually blue around her head. And Mary Magdalene, often, not the case actually in this deck, although it's probably because it's Carl Gray's deck and he's obviously an enlightened masculine who's brought through the message, but often Mary Magdalene will be depicted without her headscarf, and she'll be depicted with free-flowing hair. And again, looking back at the history of that, it's to do with your demure and, Mother Mary, you're demure and holy if you have your scarf on. I'm just talking here from a ancient Christian tradition. I'm not talking about other traditions such as Islam, okay? But Mary Magdalene without her scarf is wild. It's like the locks imply this wildness, this free abandonment. And so today when I put this on, or it was I had to put this on, it's almost as though I was doing it for both of them. But equally, what they're telling me to do now is this is for both of them. But equally, if I take it off and just let my hair be completely wild, it is for both of the Marys as well, okay? It's just as much for Mother Mary, okay, to do this and just to be free and abandoned and wild, okay, as it is for Mary Magdalene. It's like we are both, as women, we are both. We have the templates of both within us, okay? So, yeah, I just find that fascinating, the whole thing. Right, what else do I want to say? I'm going to bring Mary through now, I think. I've got one more card, but I think I'll show that to you at the end. There's a couple of crystals as well that I'm linking to today for Mary Magdalene in particular. Number one is bloodstone. Bloodstone. That links into the cycle, the bleeding that we have every month. And even if you are, you've gone through menopause or you're premenopausal and your bleeding is erratic or it's stopped altogether, bloodstone is still important, I'm hearing, because your body has the memory of that cycle every month. Nobody can take that away from you, that you had that the blood was within you. And it's a bit like when we heal or we just move on or we evolve on our path in life, we take the past. When I say we take the past with us, we take the past with us that is healed and that is integrated. And so it's important that as an older woman, you also remember the younger woman that you were as well, okay? And equally, as a younger woman, you also realise that you have the older woman within you that you will become. You have the 7 ages of man, I think is the saying. Well, I'm hearing the 7 ages of woman as well, okay? So bloodstone feels as though it's a crystal to connect you into Mary Magdalene. And then we've also got Rhodochrosite. Rhodochrosite is a nod to eternal soul love, whether you want to call a divine counterpart love, but it's also linked into the love we need to have for ourselves that repairs this terrible wound that we've got in our heart. It's like I want to put the Rhodochrosite over that card like that. And can you see when I do that, in fact it's absolutely perfect, because by doing that, the heart chakra is completely being healed and expanded. But equally, it's a bit like Japanese pottery when they stitch something together again with gold. This time we're stitching together the wounded parts of our heart with pink energy. But it's like the pink and the black together. So it's like we remember what has been done to us as women through the ages. We equally remember as men that we've been, what we did to women. And we must never forget. There's that thing about if you forget, then history repeats itself. We must never forget, but we must forgive. Okay. Right, let's just flow into Mary Magdalene first. I'm just going to show you. I've got 2 different colour variations for Mary Magdalene here. And we've obviously got the Vesica Pisces symbol on the centre of this bottle as well. Vesica Pisces being the union of the masculine and the feminine. But anyway, Mary Magdalene, Teacher Awakens. Thank you, Mary, for being present with us. Take time to pause, my child. Take time to pause. Take time to reflect, my child. Take time to reflect. Take time to learn. Take time to grow. Take time to evolve. You are eternally loved by God, and you have the God light within you. Every single man and woman upon this planet has the God light within them. And as such, as you contain this God light, you have within yourself the seeds to be able to forgive the deepest and most painful wounds. Because that is what God does. God is all forgiving and all love, and you are God. Take a moment to sink into your heart, dear child, and be at one with your body. For you are all children of the divine, and you are all equally loved. Sink into your heart and allow yourself to rest there. As you rest, you become aware of the many lifetimes where you have been female and you have been male. And you are able to feel into the mixed messages and the confusion and the turmoil and the angst of this dance that you have been doing between the two. For truly any submission or subjugation of the female has hurt you in every single lifetime, whether you were in fact male or female in that life. And so now, dear child, your world has reached a platform, a vibrational platform, a frequency that is high enough and that there is enough of you. And I know it is hard to get these words out because they have been suppressed for so long, that is able to light a torch for freedom from the chains that have bound all of humanity for millennia. The freedom that comes from seeing each other as one, the freedom that comes from seeing that there is only love, and that love heals all wounds, love forgives all wrongs, and love always wins through in the end. You are in the end days of a particular paradigm, the days when you were cast out from Eden, the days when you were lost and confused and had lost each other. We have felt so sad seeing so much of the decay and the destruction and the pain that has existed upon your earth plane. And so much of this has come from the suppression of the divine feminine energy that always wanted to nurture and heal and bring in love. Love as the greatest answer, the greatest cure for all of the ills that are upon this earth. For if you look through eyes of love and you speak through the voice of love, so much of what troubles this particular planet starts to dissolve away. The uprising of the divine feminine is here. Nothing can stop its progress. Nothing can stop its progress. You are thanked for the part that you have played to get this planet to this point in time. This includes not just this particular lifetime, but all the lifetimes that you have had previously, where you have fought and battled against each other and yourselves. You have all started to arrive at a time now where that is futile, leading nowhere, leading to emptiness. And there is such a cry coming up to the heavens for there to be another way. And we have heard that, and we are simply mirroring back to you that you have the tools and the answers and the God light within you to be able to take this last final hurdle, this last stretch of the race, and to bring the golden energy home, the golden new earth energy. To look at the women in your midst with pride, for sisterhood to be embraced, for the female of the species to be honoured. Her time is here, and it will only become stronger and louder and clearer as each year now progresses. Your daughters and your daughters' daughters, oh my, the light that shines from them, the light that is within them, the light that is within their womb, oh my, it is blinding. It is blinding. We thank also all of the divine masculines in our world, in your world, for the part that they're playing now to support and above all else recognise the divine feminine energy in their midst when they meet it. To uphold that, to protect that, to love that, to seek that. Okay, and she's just stepping slightly out of my energy field now, and she's just showing me something, and she's showing me fathers who are bringing up daughters, or any male custodian, teacher, men basically that are bringing up this current generation of female and future generations of female, and the love and the care and the tenderness in their hands. And now she's showing me the men who are bringing up boys, and the care and the love and the attention that's going into helping these boys and these generation of boys to come to not be frightened of their own innate femininity, their own creativity. For some reason she's over here now on the left, and she's shouting, not shouting, she's calling back at me. She's calling back at me, and tell them they can dance if they want to. Tell them they can sing if they want to. Tell them they can. It's the whole creative process, whatever she's saying. She's coming a little bit closer again. She's saying to me that men through the centuries have also been told that there are certain things that they can't do or shouldn't pursue. She's showing me ballet. She's showing me art. She's showing me music. It's almost like a medieval music. It's, I don't know what the instrument would be, but it's like medieval music. It's as though the word entertainment, she's saying, has been sullied. It's more than just entertainment. Interesting I said food. Because she's talking about food for the soul, particularly music, food for the soul. It's not just entertainment, it's food for the soul. So the creative arts, encouraging men and boys into creative arts, creative pursuits. It's as though she's wanting to blur the line between what, is considered a girl's thing or a boy's thing. And it's linked into the union. It's linked into the divine. It's linked into the Vesica Pisces symbol. It's the fact that we're both each other. There's no such thing as a boy's thing or a girl's thing. I'm talking about occupation and hobbies and interests. It's all just humanity's interest is what she's saying. And this card now makes a lot of sense. And I hadn't realised that this picture, the woman's holding an apple, literally is like she's being invited back into, she's inviting all of us back into Eden. But it says, Spirit Self, number 1, be who you are as you are. Be who you are as you are. I noticed this woman on this card's got blue hair. Why the hell not? Be who you are as you are. That noise, which you can still hear, is they're washing out. There's someone's jet washing the rubbish bins for the transformation to come in. We're clearing out so much here. So I want just to pull, before I end this video, because this, as I say, it feels like it's just the first of some video work that we'll be doing on this through the year, but it's an introductory video really. Let's just pull a card from the Mother Mary deck, which one of you sent me. Thank you very much. This arrived in my home over the weekend. It's the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Let's just see. Let's just firstly spray Mother Mary, Harbour Light. And let's pull a card from Mother Mary now, wanting to honour her. What message do you have for us, please, Mother Mary? She's saying straight away that it hurt her. It hurt her to see Mary Magdalene ostracised and cast out in the way that happened. And she's talking here not just in terms of anything that was observed during life when they were walking the earth. She's showing me through the centuries. It hurt her. So it's as though by another woman hurting, she's saying, it hurt me, because Mary Magdalene is within me and I am within Mary Magdalene. So all women have the templates of all aspects of femininity within them, all aspects of what it is to be female within them. So the fact that Mary Magdalene was shunned and dissed, that's not the right word, but it's the only one I can think of now, hurt Mary, Mother Mary as well. And I'm actually getting this energy coming from Mother Mary of being really, really unhappy with that. But, a spirit, a being, an ascended master such as Mother Mary isn't going to be angry, but it's just me as a human being. The way I'm feeling it is, okay, she's saying it's righteous anger. One of you mentioned on one of my platforms, holy anger, and that really struck me, that phrase, holy anger, righteous anger. Again, anger, this is Mother Mary talking, she's saying anger is a word a little bit like love, in that love has many different connotations. You can say I love you to one person and you're meaning something very different from I love you to somebody else, but we've only got one word, love, whereas actually there's 110 different connotations of love, thousands of different variations of love. And she's saying it's the same with anger. It's an inadequate word to describe the emotion that I'm feeling now. So but I'm being shown there is a holy anger, and she's reminding me, thank you, Mary, of Jesus when he turned over the tables in the temple, of the money changers' temples. He had holy anger. So Mother Mary is almost sort of correcting me a little bit. She's saying you can be angry and spiritual. You, as a ascended master, we are able to, we hold the full spectrum of emotions. It's just that we have integrated them. So what she's trying to say is, I'm trying to express it. It's quite a hard concept to try and understand or try to express. It's as though she understands anger. But she's worked through the anger. So it's almost as though I'm linking into her energy and how she feels about Mary Magdalene, and I'm linking into the first part of it, which was like, I'm angry in the way they treated her. But you need to understand that she worked through all of that, okay? Because of course they're teaching us how to forgive. But you can't just get to forgiveness without being able to work through all of the stages. You have to start with the thing that needs forgiving. You can't just whitewash that away. Okay, so yeah. Right, let me just see if there's a card here in this deck. I've not really christened this deck yet. Interesting, I said the word christened. I never say that usually. Okay, let's just ask Mary then to christen this deck. Can your energy please come into this deck for me to work with and for me to teach? Thank you. She's saying to me, show them the picture. Before I do this, you know I'm making a Christ Consciousness deck with Jane Delaford Taylor. Well, this week, Jane is painting Mother Mary. And I asked Jane to put her in a very modern day setting. And what Mary said to me was she wanted to be portrayed pouring a pot of tea, okay, because there is that thing about what unites us as a human species is often sitting down over a drink, whether it's tea or whatever it is, you know, to put the world to rights, to put our own world to rights. So this is not a finished picture yet, but that is how it's looking at the moment. Isn't that amazing? And I also heard Mary then say the teapot needs to be like a Moroccan. It's Moroccan tea. It's going to be mint tea. And there's going to be like a Mediterranean style veranda. It's going to have a Mediterranean setting in it. But the point is to bring Mary into the everyday. It's like, sit down, let me hear your problems, child, you know? And it's okay to come to Mary with anything, she's saying. You can come to me with your anger. You can come to me with your anger and we'll sit with it. And we will invite love into whatever the issue is that's making you angry. We'll learn what the anger's trying to teach you. But she's also talking about holy anger. Okay, the card that's come out, and I'll have to read the book because I have no idea what this card means, is card number 19, Our Lady of the Inner Gate. Our Lady of the Inner Gate. Okay, let's have a quick look. Number 19. From my perspective, 19 is a colour number which links into resurrection and new beginnings. So that ties in with the card of transformation that we've got here. I'll just read a little bit because there's quite a lot of information about this card. So Mother Mary, it says, my initiations are sacred, and no matter what appears to be happening in your life, I am behind it. I am always guiding you towards your heart, for within that sacred temple the most precious treasure is kept. To obtain the treasure, you will need courage, trust, and faith. I bestow my grace willingly upon you, my child, without restraint. You must provide the trust in me that gives you courage to take the journey. Your rewards shall be riches beyond all imagining. Okay. So we'll add that energy in here as well. Let me just see if there's anything else that wants to come through before I close this video from either of them. Okay, they're actually showing me themselves together, and they're that they're holding, they're both sitting down at that table. They're both sitting down at the table for tea. It's like the combined force of both of them is you're able to bring your problems to them. You're able to bring your challenges to them, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, is what they're saying. Okay, I'm just going to finish with Mary Magdalene, and I'm just going to ask if there's anything else linked into what we need to do to help the pushback. I don't want to say fight, the pushback of any resistance to the divine feminine energy coming in, please, Mary. It cannot be stopped. She's repeating, it cannot be stopped. She's saying, actually, she's saying something else. She's saying it cannot be stopped. She said, although there is an aspect of you that can, stop isn't the right word. She's shown me putting barricades up to it. So the more that you can step into your own divine feminine energy and integrate all aspects of what it is to be female. Remember that thing about, the angel versus the whore? It's like, it's like a good woman, a bad woman. It's like you're just a woman. You're a woman. And you have within you light and shade. You have shadow. You have darkness, as does everybody else. You also have light and you have holiness. You have everything within you. The most important thing, she's just reiterating, is to remember that you have God within you. So you have the ability to transform any darkness into light. Okay, I'm going to leave it here for this video. There's probably a lot more to come through in other videos. And I think probably what we'll do is we'll pick up and do some healing work around maybe the persecution of the female, and further work to integrate the fact that we have been both persecutor and victim. But more than anything, this card, you are not your wounds. You're not your wounds. We also have to let go of the energy of feeling victimized. Let me just pull one card from my own Metatron deck here. Just want to pull one card from the Metatron deck, please. Yeah, thank you, Metatron. Interesting. I can't really remember when I channel what I've said, but I think I was talking about the golden. Mary was encouraging us back into the golden age. Look at that, the golden cup. That's the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail, the cup of replenishment. Look at that. It's got the what am I trying to say? The infinity sign above it. The number 8. The number 8. The weeping wound. Okay, we can be led from this to this. I'm hearing in the flash of an eye. It's almost as though we have to believe it is so. I've been talking about the miracle zone a lot recently. We have to be willing to let go of the wound. We have to be willing to not see ourselves as the wound. We have to see ourselves as the Holy Grail. We are the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is within us. The bloodline is within us. We have the bloodline within us because we have God within us. We've also got the Akashic records here. This is Metatron saying, humanity is ready to turn the page. Humanity is ready to turn the page. Look how many pages have been written in this book of the struggle between masculine and feminine and the suppression of the feminine. Your names, Metatron is saying, is within this book. Times when you've been persecuted as a female, it might be this life as well. Okay? There's also things in this book with your name on it of you as a man where you persecuted. He's saying, are you ready to turn the page? When you're ready to turn the page and you're ready to forgive everything that you've been, the whole world starts to turn. Okay? But we need a number of us to do it. So this probably is leading into some sort of meditation that I need to lead you through at some point. But for now, for today, I'm going to leave it there. And I'm happy to report that my body is feeling much better than it was when I started this, which is just showing me the whole cycle of what I needed to teach today and bring through is done. So, I started by talking about cystitis and feeling pissed off. Well, I wasn't feeling pissed off. It's just that's what it means in terms of the body. I can already feel that's leaving my body, so that's lovely. Okay, please like and share this video so other people can see it. Much love, take care of yourselves, I'll be back soon. Bye-bye for now, bye.